just, and I'm oversimplifying it without any disrespect to anybody in my family, to myself even, or anybody else. I'm just saying, something's going on here. Okay, so when did all this happen? 1930s, late 30s, 40s, something like that. Look it up. I should know this, I'm so sorry. So whatever that was, we had, let's put it here, we had World War II. Was it a success? No, ultimately it failed, thank God. Millions more would have died. So, what do you do when you know that World War II was not a success? And yet there are people who carry on the spirit of the evil from that. We know that. There's evidence of that. But who are they? Ultimately, ask these questions. Who are they? Who's backing them? It takes money to do anything, doesn't it? Except you're like super dance warriors like us and doing our festival for no money. Then I don't know. But we're good people. But, you know, it takes money. So where's this coming from to fuel this or even this? We know that politicians don't have money going into anything. Not my research. I've researched it and found somebody else's research. Let's put it that way. So could it be that corporations are also propping up politicians? Some of them maybe. I have no desire to do this. I could. And I'd be darn good at it. I don't think there's too much I wouldn't be good at. This I do not desire to do because I cannot stand it. Ugh. I don't like the division, but unfortunately this is in all 7 pillars of our society, even art. And I'm not saying if you do a dance that's politically charged all of a sudden, but I'm talking about where people just get, you know, nasty with each other because they have a difference of opinion. You know how many artists have performed in our festival, or I've performed in theirs or alongside them, and we had completely opposite points of view? I don't care. I'm just going to sit back and learn and enjoy their art. You see what I mean? That's tolerance, okay? Okay, so who's behind all this? Who is behind all of this? Who is behind all of this? We gotta question it, people. We know there's special interest money. Where's it coming from? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, I tell you what, it depends whose hands it's in. What's happening to me is bad. So I'm gonna say it's bad. Could it be used for good? Sure, if you've got good people. But whenever you have evil people running the show, the apple doesn't fall far from the apple tree. It's bound to happen. So see that? Evil people make this go around. Let's see what else. So, what if we are hypothetically... Alright, we'll go here. In World War III, you know, another form of Cold War. What if it's like this? Or what if we're on the brink of this erupting? And who's funding it? Where'd they get the money from? We know where not we, but America gets the money from. you know, we add to the deficit. Unfortunately, I'm not mocking anybody or our president. It's necessary right now. I see why. Do you want to know? Because let's just say World War III or even World War II has always been one of these corporate wars. Maybe it's all been that. Let's think about it. What would it take for it to be a full-blown physical skirmish? You know, my best friend, bestest friend in the whole world, she had a dream about a particular country. And since we are Christian faith, we believe that when somebody has a certain dream or speaks of it in a certain way, there's going to be an interpretation for it. And I had an interpretation for it, and I mailed her a physical letter, and she never got it. And then not too long after that, we were completely severed. So I'm like, who intercepted that? And why? So I don't think it's our government. Somebody from here. Could be the same people who are trying to steal my intellectual property too. Very interesting. That's what I was saying. Remember the in, out thing? Communication. You control somebody's communication, you have a problem. We have a problem. And it'll be found out, and you know, whoever's doing all of this is going to pay a dear price for it legally. We don't do anything underhanded or rotten like what's being done to us. We just won't do that. Because, guys, it would be illegal. Now, also think back to World War II and the time that it happened and when it ended. So let's just safely say, you know, the 1940s, there was a time of peace. And, of course, you had Vietnam and you had the Gulf War, the Panamanian War. You had various little things going in there, but nothing to this scale, really, that we know of. So what happened after all of that? Well, you had a lot of interesting things. 1950s, you had certain things. You had TV, right? Which is a means of communication. My mom was going to school, and I still have her book. They were trying to teach the Russian language. At that time, don't quote me on this, but wasn't that still considered, you know, very, very communistic at that time? Right? I think so. And I know a little bit because I had her book and I learned how to write the alphabet, and it was just very amazing to me. So that was going on. We had, who was president? Well, we had different ones at the time. But look at everything that was happening during that time period. There was a lot of the communistic movement. Remember that? We read a lot of books that were authored from celebrities, film stars, TV stars during that time and what they went through. You know, Lucille Ball, she was accused of some horrific things. And they were Republican, Desi and Lucy. Their words, not mine. We read all of this, okay? And what they had to go through too. And I'm like, that's pretty horrible. We got McCarthyism. We had a whole bunch of different things. And, you know, some of it overlapped into the 1960s as well. But there was a strong communism movement. Could it be that because whoever lost World War II, I don't want to call that communism, but in theory, if you look at it, how we broke it down, the dehumanization. So let's not even call this communism or fascism, you know, what Hitler was and all of that, anything. Let's just look at the effects of it, and that's what I outlined here, right? It's the dehumanization of a human being, that horrible process. So what if people, and bad guys, evil people do this? They return to their vomit. Okay? That's a biblical thing. And they try to, a lot of times, they try to rebuild it and try to conquer again. What if this was the way it was going to be done? Because we were too savvy, human beings, to what was being done here. So nobody in their right mind would let that happen again, would they? Because we remember. Well, maybe it needed to be done a different way. Maybe the insidious way was to affect our communication. TV. In schools. Until all 7 pillars of our society were under a different reign. A silent Cold War of a corporate takeover by using the Trojan horse effect. All this time. Something to think about. So, why am I even bringing all of this up? Because I believe that I've been victim, and I'm not doing it as in, I'm a victor. I'm going to beat the out of these people. Whoever is doing this, right? You tell me another word. It's a legal term. I didn't come up with it. People are like to say that about me. Oh, she's just playing the victim. Who's playing here? You want to see all the evidence? My company and I, we've already been given clearance to post some of this stuff. Playing victim. I actually am a victim of a hideous whole bunch of crap. No victim mentality. I'm actually very strong and I keep fighting. You endure what I've gone through. You couldn't do it. Guaranteed. I hate to say that about my fellow man, but there's no way. We were looking into all of this. You know, people who actually sign up for stuff like this, doing undercover, they're in the CIA, FBI, or some faction, you know, spies and stuff. We're not that. I'm not bothering anybody. I don't want to know what anybody's doing. I don't care. I've got enough on my plate with just doing my own stuff. This, oh my God. You know, they have to switch their agents in and out because it affects the body, it affects the mind. I've been enduring this for years. A lot longer than we thought. But when you go back and you connect the dots, back. Okay, I gotta go this way. It's reversed on the screen, but you go back and I'm like, oh my God, it was there. 2020, hindsight. That's really funny. We're in the year of hindsight and that's all we've been getting, and it's so clear, you can see it. And I'm gonna distribute all of it and show you what we found. I'm not gonna stay quiet. That's what they don't want me to do, is to talk about it, to let everybody know, because an abuser goes shh. And we're not talking about planning a surprise party, okay? The end result is my being abused, my being dehumanized, my losing money, my company being destroyed or trying to be destroyed, me physically having the right to exist. I have to fight for the right to exist. I have to fight for the right to own my own property, my own expression, my own privacy. I have to fight for this? Nobody should have to. This is way against crimes against humanity and all of that. This goes way above and beyond. This is ridiculous. And to be able to survive it and to still be, you can't just come here or anywhere, all right? Or do what I'm doing, and you call me an emotional wreck. How this is not the signs of an emotional wreck, okay? This is the signs of somebody knowing how to default to that part of the brain that excels in crises. Okay, the aftermath, I'll deal with all the effects and the harm that it caused. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to cry. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I'm on the battlefield. A different kind of battlefield. But you know what? You put a regular physical sword in my hand, I know how to wield it. I will fight to defend my country, and I will fight for the right for me to be able to keep everything that is my property and is me, and I will fight for my life and fight for my family and for those who are under my umbrella, and that's shrinking. That's okay. If this is a weeding out and a culling process to show me who's good and who's not, that's fine. Then so be it. You know, you didn't cry over me, I'm not going to cry over you. My grandmother taught me that. Don't cry over things that can't cry over you. And she was trying to put things into perspective for me. You know, don't cry over that person. They were rotten, they were evil. Cry because you were hurt, and that's valuable of a loss. You know, and when you get injured, you lose something, whether it's mental, physical, emotional. That has value. But don't cry over somebody who was a rotten human being. Don't cry over spilt milk is another way of saying that, because you know, you'll get that milk back again. You'll be able to clean it up. But this warrants tears, but not now. I promise you, there will be a time for me to mourn. You know how many people I've lost in the family. There will be a time for me to rejoice. There will be a time for me to do all of these things, but not now. How many people do you see on the battlefield, a real battlefield, taking a vacation or a break? You don't get a break. So I don't get a break yet, and I'm not taking a break. No vacations. I'm on the battlefield, and I intend to win this. Those of you who really know me know that I will. Because wrong is being done to me. And if somebody is coercing anybody to do wrong to us or do wrong to anybody else, you need to say something and not be afraid. I, of all people, have the least of anybody, and I'm standing up. Do you see how much we have gone through, and I'm still speaking up? Don't be a coward. You know, because somebody, and many somebodies didn't stand up and say something before me that preceded me, I'm now having to deal with it. Do you see how big this possibly could be? Little old me. You see my shoulders? Oh, sure, they look sexy, cute, and nice, and I've gotten to where I can put them in the proper socket because of rehabilitation and things that I've been doing, and make a nice little ballerina dancer slope here. And I know it looks a lot better. These shoulders are still very small, and yet I've managed to face my Goliath. What is your problem that you don't stand up? What is keeping you from doing it? There's just no excuse. You want to talk about real fear? You have no idea what my family and I have gone through. We've shown some. How would you like it if every time you go outside, it's like, oh, not only do you have to have cameras and the bulkiness of it and carrying it, you can't even be carefree, but you have to look and see who's looking at you to make sure that they're not gaining something illegally from you or doing some harm or trying to set you up to catch you in something so they could use it against you. You know, everything from trying to get us into other car accidents to harming us physically while we're walking. You know, I have to think a million times over, oh, can I actually cross the street now? Can I actually say hello to somebody? Get the cameras going. Make sure you point it in this direction so there's evidence that I didn't hurt them or do anything or say anything bad, or, you know, or if they did something wrong to us, what was my reaction? You know, sometimes you have to tell people off and get them to leave you alone. You have to stand up for your rights too, but we have it all recorded. Why do I have to do this? This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do this, but I do, so we do. How would you like it if every time you went out to a restaurant, you look at their security cameras and you're thinking, you know what, I can't talk about anything here, except, you know, stupid mundane stuff that's not worthy of them putting in their films or TV shows. or an article somewhere. I mean, I come up with brilliant stuff just talking to people sometimes. Just being stupid sometimes. It just happens. You know? So what do? You get the cameras rolling and you just, you know, you hope for the best. And if something gets stolen, you can reference it and say, look, we did this. We figured out how they were backdating stuff too. That won't hold up in court either. So we figured it out. And because we figured it out, we're able to protect ourselves. And me mostly. But, you know, how would you like it if you're trying to talk to somebody because they're hurting, not knowing if it's being recorded and you just want it for them and never get regurgitated any other place again, you know? How would you like it if you found out that people were putting people in your life to set up circumstances just to milk it, to get you to react, so they in turn can record it somehow and use it for their films and TV articles and, you know, headline ideas and publicity stunts and et cetera, and you name it. How would you like that? Can you endure all of that? So let's see, physical life, being physically injured, having people stalking you. That's a corporate stalking, you know, corporate meaning many, working for the one thing, towards the one goal, not a good one. How would you like it if you had neighbors that were purposely like leaving out hint drops out on their balcony or their patio to, you know, try to harm you mentally, to make you keep thinking that so many people are watching you? Or how would you like it if people were leaving these items on your doorstep or in your patio? You know, you talk about a certain subject and they let you know, oh, we heard you, and so they, whatever your subject was, they leave that item nearby. I'm not talking about people leaving honest gifts and stuff that help, but this is not what the intention was. It wasn't, hey, I love you, I like you, here, have a gift. You know, all these weird anonymous things. And they were always to try to trigger harm in some way, and to let us know they were listening. That's pretty bad. Yeah. How would you like it if you worked so hard on something and it was stolen from you? How would you like it if you went to a doctor or an attorney or any other profession that you're trying to trust because you need that expertise because maybe you don't have the means to do it for yourself, and then they start regurgitating words from your private conversations that they should not have privy or access to? Why are they repeating these words and working into your conversation like it was, like I was writing a scene, a future scene for my own self to interact with these people in real life time? You know, kind of like the Truman Show, but kind of not either. What kind of a hint drop is that? You know, were these companies actually warning people about the future? About what's going on behind the scenes? I worked for a lot of the top executive producers and moguls and stuff in the industry, and many industries, guys, when I was much younger, and I know some things, and it's really interesting. You know that whole thing, predictive programming? It's not predictive programming, it's just propaganda programming. Somebody knows something. Either it's a warning to us, or they're, you know, trying to screw with our heads. Not just us, but I mean, stuff that wasn't ever directed at me. And then we just found some things later on, you know? Look it up. It's very interesting. But there's always one small element of truth in it. So you gotta wonder, are the bad guys actually controlling the narrative of some conspiracy theorists too? Just to control the narrative. Think about it. I can do a whole logics table and outline for that as well, because there is some benefit to being in control of your own bad publicity in a sense, because you control it. If anybody says, hey, why are you doing this, and writing to you, or you know, wanting to give their input, guess what? The bad guys are collecting that data that's being sent to them. So be careful. I wouldn't send your information to conspiracy theorists, because I do think that some of them are the bad guys, just like I said, controlling their negative narrative that people come up with too. Guys, sit down, break it all down, and then you find the support for all of this, you know, the actual evidence. That's what we've been doing. That's how I know it so well. It's very interesting. So, you know, you guys can say all you want. Oh, Noelle just has one little thing happen to her and she's crying. Somebody upset her at her party and she cried. It's like, no, somebody was actually harassing me and I was really pissed off, and then I cried. When I get pissed off and then I cry. Crying is not my weakness. It's actually my strength. You're lucky I'm crying and not pissed off. You're lucky I came down from being pissed off to crying. But yeah, you know, and I think a lot of these incidences in my life are setups. You know, people just trying to catch me doing something. And I was like, what good is that going to do you? Fine. We have it recorded too. You know. I don't know. But yeah, you know, some really horrible things have been put in my life. Setups. And sometimes, I've told you guys this, sometimes the people that were used to set it up didn't even know that they were being used to do that. And some did. So be careful, guys. So, talk about isolation. I'm trying to avoid this, and I'm also trying to avoid the people I do care about. I don't want them drug into this as well. You know? There'll be a time for us to clean everything up, too. In a battle, it's messy. It's not a time to straighten things out. You know, I like to clean as I go. This is a battle. We'll clean and straighten up after the fact and explain everything. But, you know, I just got to focus on winning. I got to focus on protecting myself and my family. I've got to focus on doing a lot of work with my family and those who are helping us. It's, you know, there'll be a time, I promise you, for all of you people who find yourself maybe not even in slightly similar situations, but in just a hardship. My dad always says, follow the money. I'm telling you guys that too. Follow the money. Consider that maybe the issues in your lives are not just coincidence. Some of them could be purposely implanted there for various reasons. And sometimes it could be just life, but ours is not just life. So, you know, take the wool from over your eyes off, turn the lights on. You want to be truly woke? I'm sorry, not to demean anybody, but I am so sick of people saying that they're woke just because they think they're empowered. No, what I just wrote, this is empowerment, people. Being on the battlefield is empowerment. Taking your power back is empowerment. Posting on your social media only and that's all you do is not empowerment. We've got so many good people involved with this, like that are way, 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 way up there. We had to. This is what it, you know, you have to fight force with force, and this is what it required. So be careful, beloveds and beautifuls. I know my list of you grow smaller and thinner, but you know, you did it to yourselves. I did nothing to you. So now I'm also going to say this too. If you know anything, this is your chance and this is your time to contact us. Even if you're guilty of participating, because you will be looked upon more kindly than not.